I'd like to call the May 1st, 2025 MBAR consent calendar to order. First item is 777 Romero Canyon Road. Paul, you're here with us?
Yes, Paul Ruperson with Appleton Partners.
Excellent, thank you. And have you had a chance to review these, Rob? Okay, while he's getting ready, there you have a roof spec that talks about some kind of anodized copper. What is that? How shiny is it?
Oh, so we actually want something that's a patinaed finish. So it is going to be a dull finish on it. It's just the,
It doesn't call that out.
okay, the image does show that it's a non-shiny
Sort of.
surface, but I would be happy to put a note on the color
Yes.
board that says that it will not be a shiny reflective surface. We want to make sure that it doesn't corrode unnecessarily, but we've done a similar type of roof where it is a patinaed finish.
It would be helpful to have an exact brand name or supplier or something. And if you're going to add a patina, what that patina is, what the chemical is, how many coats, et cetera.
Okay, we'd be happy to add a note specific to that.
Okay. Number two, you don't have any colors or materials shown for the wood accessory building.
So it's going to be a stained finish like the lower right
And
hand.
can you call all of that material out? You did it for the primary structure, but you didn't do it for this.
Okay,
I see the details.
yep,
Fine.
yeah,
But you haven't called out what it is, please.
okay. I mean, it's going to be a natural finish, but I can do a color tone.
Right. And you did not include an FAR worksheet.
Oh, we submitted that earlier.
It should be on the final plans.
Oh, okay. We've never put it in the actual drawing set. We've submitted it as part of our intake.
Yeah, can you put it on these plans? And the reason
Okay,
is that as time goes forward and FAR worksheets, I think that there may be more opportunity for people in neighborhood compatibility studies if we have the actual data rather than going to the assessor's workshop.
understood. Yeah,
So just
Alright.
put it on the plans.
Yep.
I'm not saying there's any problem with it.
yeah,
It's a
exactly.
huge
Yeah.
Parcel and a modest building, to say the least. Okay,
Yep.
so those are my three comments. Rob, do you have any comments on C1, please?
Yeah, first of all, I like the overall site plan. I guess you inherited that, so that's nice. I liked just things I reacted to. I like the garage doors. I liked your garage doors, and I like the way you folks laid out kind of the existing kind of conditions versus proposed conditions. That was very helpful in terms of trying to understand and what you folks were proposing and doing. So anyways, I like the project.
Yeah, we're trying to do the minimal approach. And we wanted to be able to have it clearly understood where we are making changes to the exterior so that you could
Yeah, no,
comprehend pretty quick. Yeah,
for me, it worked. It was effective. So
excellent.
okay.
And I just looked it up. Our FAR is only 45%.
I'm sure
So yeah.
I'm not questioning the fact that it's too large.
Yeah.
Just trying to get it on the plans is be consistent.
Could we amend that to the cover sheet? Would that be acceptable?
Anywhere,
Okay.
that's fine. Right there is good.
Lots
Yep.
of room there.
Excellent.
Okay, so I'm ready to recommend approval with
Okay.
exact roof spec
Yep.
and finish. Materials not only for the side, but I think you've got some kind of, not asphalt, but vinyl roofing material. You don't have that called out for the shed?
It's the roof is all standing seam for that.
Oh, it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah. The accessory building, we're using the same roofing on the entire structure.
Okay, but it should be called out because it's not.
Okay.
And then the FAR worksheet. So besides that,
Okay.
okay,
We'd be happy to follow up with those items.
okay, thank you very much.
All right.
You
Nice
Very
job.
much.
Okay, so item C2,
For the record, we didn't have any public comment on that.
oh, well, are we on for preliminary? Oh, it is for preliminary. Yeah, let me call for it. Is there anybody that would like to address the item C1777 Romero Canyon Road, please? Thank you.
No requests.
Thank you. Okay, item C2. Do you have any comments about item C2, please?
Um, my take on it is that this project didn't show up in our package, and at least for me, until today, when I wasn't there the other day when I went to look at things. So there's a lot of little oddities, I guess, that I felt like that I'd be more comfortable if the full board kind of took a look and sized some of this stuff up, architecture, hardscape, landscape issues. So I don't want to be overly picky on the applicant, and they might do fare better with the full board.
Okay.
Was
Okay,
my
so,
take.
so you'd like to refer to the full board?
Yeah, but I mean, do I ask questions now, or should I wait till let the full
Yeah.
board kind of go through that process? Or do we even, or do you not?
I think that it would be better for everybody if you could frame what your concerns are.
Sure. I mean, and again, I didn't have that was in my package this morning, so, I thought, it seemed like there was missing irrigation, and Wheelo information.
Are they on there, Fred?
Yes, they are. We've gone through a full land use application and all that's been submitted. And the last meeting, first of all, good afternoon,
Thank you.
everybody.
Can you tell us where it is, please, since there's four
Huh?
sections?
They're not in the set.
It's not in the architectural set, it's in the irrigation plan that was submitted to, Henry. I can get the
You-
drawing number for you.
You had four packages, and so, because it wasn't there the other day when I was looking, when I had more time to look, I
Yeah.
rushed through it today, so I might have missed it. So there was that.
Can you find out the numbers? We're gonna give you the sheet number in a second, and I can send that to you.
Okay,
I want.
It's sheet number I1 and I2. It's not submitted on this application because I was told by land use that I didn't have to submit it on this application. I've
where
done
where
it,
are we at this point?
I've done it, I finished it, it's in submitted land use.
Okay,
and
very good.
Mr. Walkabo has approved it.
I thought the plant, and first of all, I appreciate the concept landscape plan, that was helpful.
Thank you.
I do think that, it's almost too many, planting choices. There's some simplification that needs to happen. And there were some questions I had that I just didn't understand some aspects of it, like on the hardscape, the pool area. You're showing kind of existing and proposed hardscape improvements that just functionally, I don't think work. So there was some, so that's why I'm saying there was some issues that maybe the other board members would just be fine with it. So
I have no problem coming
Okay.
back multiple times on this because the pool surround is existing. And what we did is we added to the
yeah, if
edge.
you liked enough of it, then, I mean. if
Yeah,
you're
we
comfortable
added
with
to
it.
the edge to create a larger area. That was all that we did. But based on the budget, I kept the existing paving around the pool. The curbing is existing, the pool is existing. And all I did was the eastern edge, because north is straight up. The eastern edge I expanded and straightened to meet my addition. That was it. There was no.
Yeah, no, I saw there's just
Yeah.
things that don't functionally work, like you can't have little chips, little kind of tiny little acute kind of pie pieces of concrete kind of tied into existing concrete. You can't have new pieces tied into existing. I don't think structurally it works, and there were some issues like that that concern me.
When you talk about concrete, do you mean what concrete are you speaking about? Excuse me?
So I don't think, okay, so if you're more comfortable just doing, and I can go over some of this stuff with them on a more informal basis, so.
In part A, there's four sets. Part A, PDF 4.
Yes, everything I've submitted to you is in PDF format.
Part A,
You
PDF
want that to
4,
part A? Do you have those sets of part?
sheet 4.
You're comfortable.
It's single stories.
Yeah, part A is basically the board, what I interpreted would be what the board is interested in. And then part B, C, D was all my other drawings.
Okay, so David, there's a lighting legend there, the top fixture. Can you zoom in on that?
Now, this has all been superseded, you guys, because based upon the last meeting, you gave me excellent guidance, and I've now submitted a new sheet. I worked very hard, actually, to get you guys what you needed. I have a new landscape plan, concept plan.
We saw that, thank you.
Very welcome. I submitted that's 006. I gave you a new sheet 008, outdoor lighting ordinances compliance. And I gave you a cut sheet of every single fixture. And then I reproduced from the Montecito Land Use Development Code, the lighting spec book. I mean, the 3 pages, and tied each fixture to each paragraph.
No, it's-
So that LED one that you're showing on this sheet has been superseded by 008, which is what I downloaded, which you got this week. So this is not, you should be looking at this sheet. This one, because this is from last week. This is package A from last week, which following your comments,
Oh, okay, Freddie, do we have it?
yes,
Yeah.
Myers updated it. Where is it, Myers?
I know, Henry got it this morning.
Henry got it this morning at 9, and it should be, well, he got it as part of the
Okay,
full package.
okay,
And then we
okay,
pulled it out to make it separate, to make it easier to find.
okay. Okay, so Freddie, what we're gonna
Yeah.
do,
Yeah,
I'm gonna recommend that you receive final approval, but you're gonna need to, in consultation with the planner, Rob will go over certain issues on the landscape to try to clean that up a little bit.
no problem.
And I want to see the lighting plan. This L1 fixture does not conform, but I don't want to discuss it today since we don't have the plans today.
Okay,
Submitted it really late,
okay,
so we will go through and work on that, okay?
okay, so I'm getting, just to reinterpret what you just told me, I'm getting final approval subject to working at land use one-on-one and you guys one-on-one to finalize the details. Is that right?
Landscape architects on the.
Yeah, yeah, so more or less, you can wait and listen to the exact motion, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
I appreciate it.
So Stacy's on her way.
Video, we cannot, we're not allowed to.
Why,
Is it?
what happens? Yeah,
Oh, legal.
yeah. Well, hold on the shades, plates. Yeah, much better. for the presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
I'd like to call the May 1st, 2025 Montecito Board of Architectural Review to order. First item is public comment for any comments that are not related to items on the agenda today. Is there anybody here today for that?
No request to speak.
Agenda status report. Any changes?
No changes today.
Okay, we have two sets of minutes, April 3rd. We did do some review of it, but we didn't have a majority of people that had not recused on the previous. So does anybody have any further comments on the April 3rd, 2025 minutes, please? I'd like to move for approval of the minutes of April 3rd, 2025. There's a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? April 17th.
David, I'm abstaining from that.
I think we have two abstentions, right? Dave and Robert. Thank you.
April 17th minutes. Are there any comments, please? Anybody? I'd like to move for approval of the April 17th, 2025 as submitted. Good job, Kimberly.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? MBAR members
Abstaining again.
informational briefing. Did anybody go anywhere or do anything? I was in Savannah last week. And if you get a chance, it was laid out in 1733 by a military general whose charge was to create a fort to protect Charleston, South Carolina, on the other side of the river from the Spanish in Florida. And he set out a village with 24 squares for drilling, exercises, all of that military kinds of stuff, which 22 currently survive. And they're all about the size of this room, plus or minus maybe a little bit larger, with very old trees, beautiful brick walkways, and wonderful buildings surrounding them.
Been there.
I would highly recommend it if you get a chance. Savannah, Georgia, and the best time is probably just before the Masters tournament. It's filled with azaleas, and they were all dead by the time I got there, or the blooms had fallen off. But just looking at the number of azaleas, it would have turned that entire place into red and white, and I'm not sure what other colors they have.
You will bring this day? No.
A very small, maybe a couple hundred yards far. Somehow Georgia grabbed the first couple hundred yards on the other side of the river. Okay, staff update, anybody?
Nothing from me.
Kimberly?
Nothing for me either, thank you.
Montecito consent agenda. We had two items. One was 777 Romero Canyon Road. I'd like to recommend which is on for both preliminary and final. We reviewed it and I would like to recommend that we approve it with the applicant to add the exact roofing specification. It was copper, but didn't really show how it was going to be finished out, and he's agreed. The materials and colors for the accessory building, and to add the FAR worksheet. Did you have anything on that? So with that, is there anybody that would like to address the board on item 777 Romero Canyon Road, please? It is on for preliminary today.
No requests.
Okay, very good. I'd like to move for final approval with those comments. Is there a second?
Second that.
Uh, Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye, okay.
Mr. Watson,
Abstaining
that,
from that
that
one.
motion was for preliminary and final approval.
Preliminary and final.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David, I'm abstaining on that.
Which one?
C1 and C2, actually, if you want
Oh.
to get that out of the way too.
Okay, item C2, 1154 Delzera Road. Rob felt that the plans, the final plans, irrigation and hardscape and things of that nature were close, but not quite there. And they changed the lighting spec. They submitted it this morning, which I have not had a chance to review. So but I'm not sure that these are large enough that we should try to bring it back into the full board. So what I'd like to do is suggest the following motion. Move for final approval with the applicants to work with Rob on the landscape portion of the drawings to finish it out. I don't know how else to say that. And for the Watson, in consultation with the planner, to review the final lighting plan. But final approval besides that.
We also add to, that Stacy may take a look at that too.
Oh, yeah. Would you like to do some extra free work?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. Thank you for volunteering. See, that's what happens when you come in late. Okay, so it would be Rob and Stacy in consultation with the planner on the various landscape issues, and Watson and the planner on the lighting sheet that was just submitted. Is there a second to that motion, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay.
I'm sorry, Mendro abstained on this item as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Standard agenda. Oh, by the way, we have 8 items scheduled as of now for the next meeting. So 8
And I need to leave at about 2:45 today.
today. Okay. Item number 1, 2775 Sycamore Canyon Road. We have never seen this project before. Please.
Alan McLeod with A34 Studio.
Eric Eichelberger with Arcadia Studio.
Want me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we are a new residence and garage and pool cabana located on Sycamore Canyon Road. We are a net 2,800 square foot home. If we'd like to turn to sheet 010 survey. We have an existing ADU, an existing garage, and an existing the main residence, which is a non-historic kind of 1930s house that's been fully renovated, which we're planning on demoing, which is the building that is on the right-hand side of the sheet. We're planning on keeping the existing entry gate, and landscaping down Sycamore Canyon Road. We turn to the next sheet. We can view the property looking southbound on Sycamore Canyon Road and looking northbound coming up Sycamore Canyon. The other photos are the existing ADU, existing carriage house, which will be demoed on the property. Turn to the next sheet, 123. This is just a site analysis. So we looked at entry, the existing oaks on the property, which we're planning on keeping. I believe we're removing 1 tree. And the general design concept for the house is actually for it to wrap around those existing oaks that you can see up against Sycamore Canyon Road. I have a model here if everybody is, needs to kind of visualize this as we go also. So if you turn to the next sheet, 1.11. So the idea is to create a drive court. Part of the site analysis, we determined that we would try to minimize the amount of street noise coming off Sycamore Canyon. It's a little noisier than we had hoped. So the site slopes to the south. So the main goal is to use the new proposed garage and the drive court as a buffer to Sycamore Canyon Road, and then programmatically locate the bedroom wing, the bedroom elements on the east side of the home, and then really for the main living space to live in underneath the oaks. So the whole driving concept for the home was a single story, 2,800 square foot net home that envelops in and around the existing oak trees. So we looked at the way that the massing of the home worked, which we'll get to here in a minute, but the whole idea is that the areas of retreat, sleeping, security are a solid form, and then we live underneath the oak, which is basically just a pavilion roof that's hung between the massing blocks, which you can see in the model, and I'm happy to show this around. So if we move to the next sheet. The home's set up with the drive court, entry through you kind of enter in underneath the roof, through the massing, the back bedrooms, and that just flows through to the sloping south towards the living area, the outdoor patio, and then that will spill down following grade to the pool and the pool cabana that's hidden from the street. None of the home can be seen from the street as we move through. So next sheet is the roof plan, then we have the garage layout. Then we move to 3.10. So here we can see in the elevations, we have the master bedroom massing with the pavilion roof that's kind of just supported lightly, and the main living areas. Next. The east elevation, and the idea with the retreat elements, the bedrooms, we wanted to keep it clean and just do a single punch for every space. It's all operable and transparent to the landscape. So each of the rooms has direct access out to the landscape. Again, but we didn't want to pepper the massing elements with multiple windows. We just want to do a single clean punch as we move through these spaces. If we move to the next sheet, which will be a concept palette. So the main solid masses would be looking at a limestone, probably a rough finish. And then we have a very simple wood element that's upon the entry and the soffits. And then the windows, we're looking at a dark anodized window system that's fully operable. And then the roofing, we're looking at a corrugated element to help with the feeling of lightness with the roof. We move to the next sheet. I'll have Derek talk about the landscape concepts.
Sorry, it's a little small on this screen, but you can see
Terry,
the,
can you bring the mic closer to you?
oh, there we go. Thank you. So you can see the motor court and the same layout that Alan was just going over. At the entry, we have a reflecting pool, which actually spills on 3 sides. So part of it is a feature related to the entry, and part of it is related to a small seating area off the kitchen. And we're framing that view from the motor court with a specimen olive. As you swing around to the west side, the path meanders through and the sense of an oak woodland. It's really just 2 large oaks in that area that the path goes between. And we're building up through that area a deck that will connect with the rear patio. Then there's the pool in the back. There's a small pool house. Yeah. And then Alan referenced that we might be losing one tree. Just below the pool, there's a tree that's going to be close to the development. It's kind of an unattractive tree, but we might keep it or it might go. Then on the east side, there's a grade change of about 4 feet from where the ADU is, stepping down towards the bottom where the pool area is. So we've devised a way to create a lawn area for the ADU and creating a meandering pad system that goes through a garden space on that east side. A sort of yellowish box will be some sort of focal point garden to be determined.
Is that it, guys?
That's it. Then the other sheets on the set were just preliminary civil for our civil calcs and looking at our grading quantities.
Did you have an FAR on this project, please?
I believe it's, we're right on 100. 103, sorry,
Can
100.
you zoom in on, please? Thank you. Okay, excellent, thank you. You're done.
I am, and I'm
Okay.
here for questions, obviously.
Robert, questions, please.
I'm curious about the amount of cut. Why is there so much cut? Where is it, what is it attributed to?
To the swimming pool is a fairly large cut. And we're looking at doing a raised foundation for all our mechanical.
And therefore you're cutting down.
And therefore we're cutting, and then we're cutting down, we're raising up the drive court to flatten that out. So it's kind of a balance between those elements. But at this stage, just from a performance standpoint, mechanical standpoint, we wanted to do a raised foundation to run all our mechanical under the floor.
No more questions.
Dave, questions, please.
Is all the proposed development within the setbacks or any?
Yes, it is.
That's my question.
Rob, questions, please.
We on, is this for
A
final or
concept,
concept?
first review.
Pass on it, okay. So I don't have any more questions at this time then.
Bill, questions, please.
What's the landscaping like? Is the bottom of the sheet the east side?
Bottom of the sheet is the south side as we look at the
What-
landscape.
What's the landscaping like there and how close is the neighbor on that side? You know,
There's actually a driveway that runs up the whole east side, and
Go north.
there's a driveway that runs up all around that curved elevation. Right now, it's basically surrounded by trees up against the property line. And then there's effectively a lawn and a existing putting green down there. It's kind of messy down at the bottom of the property. So you can see it here. So the original when they did the ADU, they updated a lot of the landscape fairly generically.
That's a driveway and it's pretty well lined.
It's incredibly, it's not transparent at all. So the neighbors are a long way away from
Okay.
everybody.
I was just concerned about the lighting coming off the back.
So if you look at that, this is a good reference, actually. If you look at the dark oaks right in the middle, that's what we're wrapping the house around on that street side.
And then what's the drive material? Is it?
I'd like it to be a gravel, just
Gravel.
really traditional, kind of like Montecito driveway gravel, just come in
Yeah.
and around.
And it looks like, Derek, on your drawing there that you've got, which is great, the olive tree, I think you mentioned there. And is there going to be a fair amount of planting in front of that area there too? Okay. That's it. Thanks.
Stacy, questions, please.
Yeah, so Derek, are you keeping the existing landscaping around the ADU and existing two-car garage? You're going to be changing that?
At this point, we're assuming we're going to keep most of it. There's some grading issues that need to be resolved in that southwest corner of the ADU. It's going to probably involve removing a tree or two, but they're not native.
Okay. When you say you're wrapping around the trees are actually outside of the building footprint, correct? And you're just glazing?
There's existing retaining walls
Okay.
that the trees are sitting up against on the carriage house. We're not planning on removing those existing retaining walls. We're working around those elements.
Okay. That's
The
it.
wall will actually end up underneath that deck.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Okay, that's it.
And I have no questions. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 12775 Sycamore Canyon Road, please? Yes, please, come on up here. And then, do you have a slip? Okay, so in the back on the right, not now, after you talk, can you just fill in your name and all so that we can get it spelled correctly in the minutes? Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
How long do I have?
3 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to try to make this short. I've never done this before. I live next door. My family bought the house in 1972. It's a Reginald Johnson. It was finished in 1918. It once encompassed all the land all the way up to Lotus Land. I grew up there. I've been there since I was 4 years old. I live in the guest cottage, which is across from the neighbors. Are they here, by the way? Hi, neighbors. I wish we were meeting on better terms. I wanted to go over and bring you flowers and say hello, but this is a very emotional thing for my family. My mother's 91, and we have spent the last 7 years under construction on all sides of the property. As a kid, I rode my horse from that location all the way up to the hot springs. And now there's gates and walls, and there's no coyotes, there's no rabbits, there's no nothing going through. And as far as I'm concerned, Montecito's turned into a pit of just, it may as well, I want to move to Goleta when I'm done here because there's more land out there. Every square inch around Montecito is getting used. There are maybe 3 oak trees left on that property, 2, maybe 2. It was never a stable. I don't know where you all got that information. Never. It was a shack. There was a shack on the other side. That was also all forest land. There were tons of animals coming until just the last maybe 5 years. And my new neighbors, which I'm happy to meet you, I apologize, this isn't on you, have been here for 5 months. They know nothing about this property or what it was. It's cramming more onto that property. If you come see, my other neighbor brought in so much soil that it's looking over from the estate, the Reginald Johnson that I live on the property of. You can see from this side all of the ugly buildings that were built, and it took that guy 5 years to finish. And now my mom, who's 91, gets to endure another project, which is going to lower the property value for my 5 siblings when we all sell the house that we grew up in. So yeah, I would like anyone just to come over and look at what's being crammed on this little property. As it is, it's 3 huge structures that were just completed. I've been through the house. It's spacious enough for a lot of people. I don't know how many people need to live on this little acre or 2 that property even is. I don't know. But it seems like Montecito is just like I said, it's not a place for, like, it used to be natural and beautiful because of the trees. People come now and they just mow down the trees. It doesn't matter whether they're native or not, neither are any of the eucalyptus trees, most of the trees. I mean, they're just, I would like anyone to just come look at the property, look at the land, look at it from 2791 Sycamore Canyon and see the logic in this. It's really disturbing to me. And I'm not going to live there a whole lot longer because my mom's 91, but it's going on all around. And if you just go at Par Grande, the amount of space that these homes are taking up in Montecito, it's not Montecito. It's not what people move here for.
Can you wrap it up?
That's it.
Oh,
Very
I'm
good.
sorry. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Francesca Castagnola Hunter.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
If you could give us a written slip, thank you.
Sorry to be so emotional. Hi, I want to meet you on.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on item number 12775 Sycamore Canyon Road, please? Okay, close public comment. We're back, first meeting. Comments. Robert.
I feel the project is architecturally very nice, and basically just over 100% is acceptable in my view. And it, I understand the whole thing about construction and everything else. It's drag, but I don't see any reason to not move this forward.
Dave, comments, please. Oh, by the way, before you do that, Robert, how long have you lived in Montecito, please?
Me?
Yes,
Basically my whole life.
thank you. Dave, comments, please.
Yeah, I think it's a well-conceived design. It's meeting all the setbacks. It has perimeter screening. It's single story. It's conforming to the FAR requirements. So I can support the project in the direction it's going with. My one concern is the amount of grading. I understand what you're doing, but if there's a way to balance the grading on site, that would be a better approach and less impactful to the community. And those are my comments.
Rob, comments, please.
Yeah, I agree with the fellow board members. I like the project generally. I like the way it's presented. I like the layout of all the elements. The hardscape, I think is real simple and well organized, and I like the way that's come together. Need more information on the landscape still. Still not there. I am confused though, and not being an architect, on sheet A 2.40. On the elevation there, it's like there's the fascias seen 100%, and then is there no roof, or what am I looking at on the bottom two elevations that are stone? On the, so is there supposed to be more line work there on all those? Am I-
We'll see how they detail it.
Okay, I was, I mean, the rest of, like, the hand-drawn sketches really, present themselves well, and then I look at some of those kinds of drawings and they seem to be missing a little bit of line work, but anyways, overall, I like where you guys are going and support the project.
Bill, please.
Yeah, I think, single story, FAR 103, I think it's all compatible in that respect. I appreciate the fact that you're, that good part of that corner is going to be glass, which is also concerned just to make sure that backside gets well landscaped and screened, because you're going to have a lot of light coming out of the back of that. So I'd say keep an eye on that. And then whatever you can do, Derek, at the driveway there to represent, softening of that, maybe is limit the amount of paving or gravel that's there, and put as much landscaping as you can to kind of soften the edges, right?
Yeah, Mr.
But I think generally, I think it looks good. I like the design and I could support it.
Mr. Chair, one quick comment on the gravel. It seems on some other projects I've worked on that the county pushes back. I mean, I love gravel driveways. They seem to be pushing back on how close you can have gravel to the public roads. And I was on a project, it was like 100 feet. So you might look into that before you go in that direction. But I like that direction generally, but the county doesn't. That's it.
Just got to talk, right? Yeah, I did. Stacy, please.
I agree with most of the board. I like the architecture. I think it's interesting. I think it's low lying enough too that you really won't see this house from the road. I think that's in everyone's best interest as well. And there is along Sycamore Canyon, I know, kind of adequate screening already in place, mature hedges. I like the direction that the landscape is going. I don't have any opposition to it whatsoever. Just curious about the weird little bump out going back to the 2-car garage. It's a little strange, but that's fine. And I think Montecito is actually much easier, their fire department, with the gravel road. I felt like in most recent meetings I've had with them, they seem to be backing off on that 100-foot rule. So yeah, I mean, gravel is always, you'll get my blessing on that. So that's it.
I don't think I have any, oh, yeah, I think you guys should work as hard as you can to balance the grading. This is 12, almost 120 trucks, one way and back. You get that dirt off of there, so you can find a way. And where do we want to go from here, please, everybody? Yeah, full board preliminary final?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Full landscapes and stuff so we can actually see what you're doing on the perimeters. Okay, very good.
And I just want to note, we have got an outreach for all the neighbors. We have an open house, that we've invited all the neighbors to
Okay.
come and look and review the plans and look at the project as a whole. So, we have reached out.
To the neighbor that spoke to us, I'm sure I'm older than you are, but since I've been alive, the world population has increased 300%. And so we've gotten our fair share here, certainly. There's no question that the community has changed radically after the pandemic. But a set of rules were established in the early 1990s, and these gentlemen right here and the owners are conforming to what was approved at that point. So, it is what it is. Okay, very good. Item number 565 El Bosque Road. Do we have any neighbors to comment on this, please? Just, can you raise your hand? One. There's several comment letters. Okay. And so what I'd like to do, we'll get to you, so they're going to make a presentation. We'll ask questions, then you have an opportunity to speak. Okay, so that's how it's going to work. I think that there's 2 or 3 major issues with this. Clearly, Don, we got a lot of comments about the grading and the channelization of some water course on the property and the northern edge of the property. And looks like that was never permitted. And then we've got a series of questions about the pickleball court, and then we have everything else. So I just wanted to, if you haven't seen them, I wanted to alert you to that as you get started.
And Ms. King is online if there's any questions.
Yeah, Veronica? Okay, very good. So we are on today. This was a zoning violation, building violation case. So they're trying to clean up something in unenviable position.
Am I up?
Yeah.
It's such an interesting format. It's kind of dark and moody in here now. And you guys are up there and we're down here.
Well, if you'd like him to turn on the lights,
It's okay. I don't have anything in front of me, so.
yeah,
I think that
Hi, my name is Dawn Sherry. I know most of you.
can you dim them up and down or just on or off? Okay.
No, it's fine. I'm fine. And this is Paul Sikat from my office. And as you pointed out, this is an enforcement case. Our client bought this property during COVID or right after COVID. And we were brought in later. We were brought in after the work was done. Some of the work, there's some work that we're proposing to do and some work that has already been done that we are here to get approval for that was done without the benefits of permits. So let's move straight to the site plan or maybe the photos really quick. Where are the photos? Do you guys have those? Might be easier.
I only saw photos on the landscape sheet and there were only 4 of them.
These were the ones that we turned in. There's a few. Let's just zoom in on those, please. And so the upper left-hand corner is the front elevation. This property is surrounded on 3 sides with a high wood fence. And on the back side, which is the west side, it's got a fence, but it's not a high wood fence. So you can't really see the house other than the top of the roof from El Bosque or the private road to the south. Once you get in the courtyard, you can see the upper left-hand corner is the entry courtyard. It was always there. The house, as you see it here, was pretty much or very similar in massing, other than the fact that the front east porch that was original, that had a lower hip roof that met the main massing of the house below the plate level, was replaced with a gable entry element, but it was always a covered porch. This house was built in the early 1900s. There's a historical study report made by Post Hazeltine that does not give it a structure of merit or historical significance that would not allow for alterations to be made, but you've probably already reviewed that. I wanted to just point that out. The house was originally shingles and what was the roof, Paul? The original roof? Comp shingles. And the comp shingles and shingle siding has been removed in the place of board and batten and a non-reflective matte finish metal roof. The backyard is the upper right-hand photograph, looking out toward the west, and the lower left-hand photograph is the driveway, and then the lower right photograph is looking at the back of the house toward the east from the backyard. So just to kind of orient you. So can we go to the overall site plan again really quickly? And you can see the main house in white was the original house. And then there was an addition made to the west portion of the house. That the house is still primarily a rectangle, which was its original configuration. It's a one-story, as you can see. The original garage was falling down, so the owner, he didn't know that he couldn't remove it. He removed it, and after retaining us, became aware that he was not allowed to not have covered parking. So we're proposing a new two-car garage, and within the same structures, just to keep the structures minimal on site, we're proposing accessory square footage above the garage, but kind of built into the garage. So let's just scroll through the drawings really quickly to the floor plan. Maybe you can see.
We don't normally review floor plans unless it's.
Yeah, the next page is there's the addition on the back of the house. And the kitchen and living room was one area in the white portion, and by adding the addition, we were able to make the house just a tiny bit larger. It's a very small house. Next page. And there's the proposed two-car garage and the accessory square footage above, which is going to become 2 offices for Michael and his wife. And they also have a son that might utilize one of these as a playroom. Next page is the elevation. That's the main house elevations. You can see the original front porch and how the new front porch looks. The upper is the original and the lower is the new gable front porch. Next page. This is the back of the house, the original back and the new back of the house. Below it with the deck. Next page. The side, the north side of the house, original and proposed. We're keeping the porch that accesses from the bedroom to the north, but it's just done a little differently than it was originally. Next page. And then the other side of the house is the southeast existing and proposed below. Tell me if I'm going too fast. Next page. This is the two-story garage. We chose, as you can see from the side elevations, we're choosing to build the second story into the roof of the lower level in the form of shed gables that are inset from the sides, just to keep the massing and the scale down because of the diminutive nature of the existing house being so small. We wanted to kind of mimic that same lower plate, single story, but we popped up the upper level to get the second story in that area. We just felt that a two-story volume on this property as a garage would be overpowering, but we didn't want to do a two-story house. So those are the proposed elevations of the new garage. Back to no other buildings are proposed, except I think there's a few sheds on the property that might have shown up that have to be removed or otherwise permitted. So back to the site plan, maybe we can see if those are on there. The locations of those are on there. The proposed site plan has some color on it, I think. Keep going back. Yeah, that one. And those are little, just little rectangular sheds with white board and batten and a roof and just 120 square feet, no electrical, no mechanical. I think a couple have electrical now and they have to be removed. We have to take the electrical out. So there's also on the site plan a proposed pickleball court, as you mentioned, up in the upper left-hand corner. And there's a bocce ball court below that. And then a garden and no exterior lighting, no night lighting, nothing like that. So and I think I also didn't mention that we want to add a driveway off of El Bosque so that the property has a proper driveway off of the street instead of off of the private road to the south there. So that's also being proposed, not built yet. And that's my presentation.
You're done? Dawn, you're done? Have you completed your presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Stacy, questions, please?
Yes. So starting with the driveway. So the driveway currently is on the south side of this coming in?
Yes.
And would you abandon that for the new one?
No, so that
you're-
we could just go drive through to
Okay.
the private driveway.
And then on the two-story, is that overseeing any neighbors? Can the neighbors see into the second story over the garage at all?
Not that I'm aware. There's no, the property is heavily wooded with oaks. From the street, you would be able to see the roof as you drove by, but through oak trees. And if you looked on Google Map, you would see that the closest neighbor is the southwest corner down that private driveway, and the neighbor to the north is pretty far away from the structure. And both of these structures are centrally located on the site and not near property lines.
Can we look at it at Google Maps, David? Because I tried at my office and I couldn't see it that well. It was like a very old aerial. That's pretty much what I could see too. It's hard to tell with the neighbors. Okay, those are my only questions. Thank you.
Bill, questions, please.
Did you do a FAR calculation?
Yeah,
What is it?
it's on the title sheet. I can't remember what
I
it
see
is.
it on there.
It's like,
it's a separate.
oh, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't see it on your, are you over 100?
No,
Okay.
no.
You mentioned the historical report. You said you cannot do anything to the building, but you've
The
done.
historical report was made at the request of the planning department in order to confirm that alterations made to the existing structure were appropriate based on the lack of historical significance of the architecture. And that's.
And so they were, it was
And
okay.
it came out that there had been so many changes and there was no quote historical significance, no architect of
It's all good then.
famous architect or.
Not a problem then, okay. What's the plate height of the garage, the lower level?
I can't, let's go to those elevations.
And the upper looks like about.
Maybe zoom in on that. I think it's
8.6.
8.6.
8.6, and then the upper's like 7 feet or something like that.
Yeah, just the upper deck, the upper is just enough to make sure that those ceiling heights meet minimum ceiling heights for a room. The what?
flood elevation.
The side elevation would show it better.
That's fine. I can see the numbers there. The paving in the front, could you go to that site plan again at the end, last page there? Is that all
gravel.
gravel everywhere? That's just gravel running all around the bocce or?
Yeah, there's no hardscape.
bocce and around the sheds and everything. Okay. And do they currently drive their car all around everywhere?
Very organic.
Property.
And the owner bought this property because it was so special and organic and oak trees and didn't
Mhm.
want to add hardscape.
Got it. Okay.
Except the back, there's pavers in the backyard. You can see them there.
Just the inner, yeah, the little bit there that's in the photo. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Dave, questions, please?
Do all the existing and proposed structures, including the buildings and the pickleball and the bocce courts, meet the zoning requirements as far as setbacks, heights, and all the zoning requirements?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
There's no encroachments or anything
There's no what?
existing or proposed?
No,
Okay. The metal roof, do you have a proposed finish for that metal roof?
we have what?
A proposed finish for the metal roof?
It's just a matte standing seam, dark charcoal.
Okay.
It's there. It was.
It's existing?
Yeah, it's there. That's part of the violation.
Okay, and you can provide documentation that it's actually a matte finish? Okay. And it appears there's perimeter screening around the property. Is that the case? It's hard for me to tell for sure.
Yes, and I mean, you can, if when you're in the courtyard, you can see some of the fence from the inside, but there's a lot of plants and it's very heavily planted. And the landscape architect, Chris Gilliland, is not here today, but if you want to, we could go to the landscape there. That's it.
Well,
The landscape plan, yeah.
I think it's fine next time if you come with it documented, so we know that it's existing and it's part of the condition approval. Those are my questions.
Rob, questions, please?
Hey, Don, so I guess I'm trying to understand it. My sense is that there's a direction to kind of keep it more minimal, but there's kind of an opportunity to weave things together with landscaping and ground covers in a way that doesn't seem like it would be terribly costly. So I guess why isn't there more landscaping and there's land, typically I might see the garage or something buried in landscaping, and I see a lot of structures and pieces are just kind of floating out there in a sea of gravel. And so I guess I'm trying to understand why you folks chose not to kind of add more landscaping as opposed to having
There's a lot.
gravel. I mean, I see there's some nice landscaping pieces, but
It's not kind of weaved together with landscaping, it's weaved together with gravel. So that's what I'm trying to understand.
Is that a comment or a question? Why did we chose not to do a lot of landscaping? Is that the question?
Why is gravel like, I guess, the common theme to weave everything together?
Well,
As
if-
opposed to landscaped areas, I guess, is what, maybe if that's a better way to frame the question.
Do you want me to answer now?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So if you maybe go to the upper left-hand photograph, and you can see that the theme is to keep everything super simple. The owner is a professional photographer. He's, for lack of a more sophisticated word, he's an aesthetic. He's very particular about aesthetics and cleanliness. And we're not trying to not do landscaping, but if you zoom in on the front house, there's a lot of landscaping. If you zoom in on any of those photos, actually, Chris's landscape plan doesn't show every plant. It shows what we're proposing, but you can see that there's a lot of landscaping on the property. The upper left-hand corner is the entryway. There's landscaping all the way around the house. This particular style of architecture, being very clean and kind of traditional farmhouse, but more with a whitewash, is just very clean. I mean, if you wanted us to provide more landscaping around the garage, we're more than happy to do that. This is just conceptual, but you can see by looking at these photos that there's quite a bit of landscaping, and they have a full-time gardener that comes almost every day, and he's maintaining all of this. And when he bought the property, it was a mess, and he's completely redone the landscaping in drought-tolerant natives, and not every one of them is a California native. So if you have, Rob, if you have some comments about that, I would understand that, because I don't think
No, I guess my
every single
comments.
plant is a California native. But
Give you my 2 cents when we get to comments, but I was just asking that question. So, okay, I
Okay.
got the gist of it.
thanks.
Thanks, Don.
Can I just ask David, hey, are there more photos in the folder set that we didn't see? Because it's really hard to review this without like a full set of photos.
Not submitted with the BAR plans. So
The photos that we submitted originally are so old that the ones that are up there show a lot more landscaping than these do. The landscaping's grown in.
It really doesn't give us an
What I
idea
can
of
do
the
is just
entire lot.
give them to you. These are the old photos.
submit these with your land use application.
These were the original
set those.
submitted like a year ago or 2 years ago.
LUP.
We could ask them to submit it for our
Yeah.
next review.
I think so. I think we're going to need current photography. Well,
So, Rob, are you done? Questions? And Robert, questions, please.
Is that a pickleball court in the upper left?
Didn't have a pickleball court, what?
In the upper left of the
Yes.
site one.
Proposed.
And there's no real adjacent neighbors, is that correct?
There are adjacent parcels on 4 sides, but there's the buildings are not
No more.
right up next to the setback lines on the west or the north. No.
Yeah, my privacy thing. Okay, so Don, I do take the opportunity to review the drawings before the meeting. And I found that there were 2 major issues being expressed. One was the noise from the pickleball, and the second was the drainage. So the pickleball, I started looking at, and I actually went through the Montecito Community Plan, and it says, in order to protect the semi-rural quality of life, encourage excellence in architecture's project, protect residential privacy. Okay. The next one in the architectural guidelines, it says, to ensure the architecture and landscaping respect the privacy of the immediate neighbors. The next one, consider mutual neighborhood privacy in all aspects of the house design and site layout, including noise. Consider the neighbor's view and privacy in the placement of architectural appearance. And then residential privacy is a key element in the quality of life. And finally, privacy between adjacent properties should be maximized. But I asked myself the question, what the heck is privacy? So I went out to the web and I found 3 separate definitions. Oxford, I don't know what UC San Diego's doing, but they were there in dictionary.com. The state or condition of being free from being observed or disturbed by the neighbor, by other people. Generally, privacy is the right to be alone, free from interference or intrusion, and the state of being free from unwanted or undue intrusion or disturbance in one's private life or affairs. So given that, the question is, why should I vote for a pickleball court when all of the community plan and our guidelines tell us to maintain privacy, and we all know that these guys are really noisy? So why should I vote for it, please?
Because you're bringing up some existential questions about privacy, and we have to deal with it. I'm on the single family design board at the city, and we get this all the time. And I can't tell you how to vote or why to vote.
But
but
why
I
do you
will tell you
believe
that
this won't intrude in people's privacy, disturb them, et cetera?
Mhm.
Why is your court not going to do that to your neighbors, please?
The court there's landscaping between the 2 property lines, for one. There's no outdoor lighting. I think the pickleball court, if I had to guess, is going to get used once a month. It's not like they're competitive pickleball players. I've never seen them play pickleball. It was kind of surprised to us that they even wanted a pickleball court, but they're, Michael's getting older, he's my age, and we're all trying to get out there and move. And when you have a backyard, you kind of want to be able to use it for outdoor activities. And whether you're going to be playing pickleball or working out with your radio on in the backyard with your weights, I don't know, it's all going to cause noise. So if any kind of noise at all from a backyard is invading on somebody's privacy, then we shouldn't allow swimming pools or hot tubs or radios. The pickleball is in general about a 50 to 60 decibel range sport. If you really slam a ball, you're going to get up to 70. Like I said, it's going to be rarely used. It's just giving the owner an opportunity to enjoy his very large property with something that I think would give him joy and also allow him to stay active.
Very good. Sir, it's your turn if you'd like to come.
Mr. Chair, I did locate those photo pages if you want.
Yeah, let's do that since he's already good. Now, we have a slip in the back that we'd like you to fill out after you talk so that we know who you are and all of that good stuff, okay? So you can talk up there. If you want, you can sit down and talk from seated position.
Oh, I think this should be fine.
3 minutes, please.
Yeah, my name's Gerald DeSantiana. I'm the owner of the property all to the west and to the south here. We have 230 feet of property line from El Bosque Road down to the end of his and up to the west. My issues with this proposal have been 2, and you mentioned both of them. There's a pickleball court, is the noise, but I think even more important is the water issue. Both our properties, the northern side, it used to be by history, and I know something about it. I've lived here. First of all, I started living here in the 1950s, left for 50 years and came back in 2010. So I've been here since 2010 this time. The northern side of these were a natural woodland. There was no structure at all on the northern side of this property. or on my side. On this property, it was a horse corral was there. It wasn't a barn. There was a little shed for horse equipment. And otherwise, it was a thick oak woodland there. It still is on my side. A thick oak woodland. They have taken down about 6 oak trees and 2 large sycamore trees since they moved in there. The sycamore trees were in the middle of the old horse corral that was there. So now you see it's pretty empty. I see 5 or 6 oak trees. They took down a half dozen and put in these large trees. The main issue I did have, though, is the drainage issue. You can't do anything about trees that are gone. But what that's created is much heavier runoff onto my property. I'm sorry. And he also diverted a runoff. He created a canal running along the top edge of his property, runoff from El Bosque Road. There is a runoff channel from El Bosque Road created by the county, diverting water into what was the normal runoff channel, was across the northern end of his property, not the part where the house is, but the northern side, and then through my property, through to the property below mine, Periwinkle Lane. And in a really heavy rainstorm, water would go all the way through to Periwinkle Lane and right down to the corner of San Isidro Road. And now that's much worsened because he took what was a natural water course, as I say, done by a county project under El Bosque Road through this natural water course. And he diverted the water, made a concrete line channel, which dumps out on my property, and it's coming out with a huge force now. It dug out a channel in my property about 25 feet long, 3 feet deep, about 3 feet wide, displacing a lot of dirt, which went down and landed on the property of my neighbor below mine. I have few photographs. Anyway, the channel can't be done. It's there. But the last thing we need is more covered ground on that side. As I say, this is all on the north side, not on the south side. On the north side, anything like a pickleball court, anything concrete, we just don't need it. It's needed for percolation. It's always used for percolation. My property on the is the same type of property, but on the west side is completely uninhabited. It's a natural woodland and water percolates there. But it can't percolate anymore. The great huge volume that's coming down from his property since he built a concrete lined canal there. And so it's caused a huge buildup of mud, debris on my border, between the border of my house and Periwinkle Lane. I don't know how we're going to rectify that, but the last thing we need is anything that puts more coverage on that side of the property. Sorry, that's.
Thank you. And you sent a letter, right?
I did send a letter explaining all this. Yeah.
And your name again, please?
Yeah, Jerry DeSantiana, spelled D-E, capital S-A-N.
Okay.
I-L-L-A-N.
I will not be reading your letter because you made a presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so we have several, okay, so these are the additional photos, a little kind of out of order. Okay. And so we have at least 3 public comment letters. Okay, so the second one is the gentleman that was just here. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, please, by all means. I apologize. I thought the 2 of you were together.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And your name, please.
My name is Gus Velasquez, and I live on the same property, 559 El Bosque
Okay.
Road. So yeah, I have a couple issues. With all due respect to this young lady that spoke about the pickleball court, I actually spoke to Michael Haber, and he expressed to me that he plays pickleball once to twice a week. So your once a month, it's just not going to cut it.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so sorry, but it's not once a month. Yeah. The other thing is, I live on a structure on the other side of the fence line, and I don't know when they built without a permit, they measured how close that back deck is to the fence line, but I can hear everything that they speak when they're on that deck. I can even hear the person that Michael is speaking to on the cell phone. That's how close I am to his back deck. So I don't know if the county has measured how far that back deck is to the fence line, but it's pretty darn close. And every time they have a party, it's like them being right next to me. So I can just imagine that pickleball court. I play pickleball, so I know how loud it is when you hit a pickleball, and depending on how hard you hit it, it's a plastic ball, and you're hitting it with a hard racket. So you can hit it where it makes a ton of noise. And as my dad mentioned, that runoff problem is severe, especially the last 2 years that we had the torrential rains. As he mentioned, it's carving out our property from that runoff. If I would say it's safe to say that they never checked with a landscape specialist to see how the water is going to affect what they were building, but it has definitely worsened our problem. We have a problem where water comes down El Bosque Road and goes into the driveway. So right now we have that problem, plus the problem of runoff coming from their front yard where whatever they built is causing more water to come down our driveway. So now we have an added problem with more water, not just the water that comes down El Bosque Road. So I definitely am not in agreement with what they're trying to do, because I don't think they've taken in consideration the effect that it has on the neighbors around this property. And there's neighbors that are complaining that are on the other side. Like I said, I live in a structure that literally in the driveway, when you go down the driveway, I'm literally probably about 10 feet, maybe 15 feet at the most from the fence line. So I can hear everything that goes on that deck. And again, I'd like to see if the county measured how far that deck that was built is from the fence line. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
And
it.
could you also fill out a slip, sir?
Yes, I did.
And give them to David. Thank you. Okay, so we have several other public comment letters. Okay, our next door neighbors has not contacted us regarding this review. I represent the Trees LLC next door to the subject property, and I'm very concerned about the pickleball court being next door, a bocce court and additional structures. I would like a site plan so I may review and better understand what's going on. If the pickleball court can be heard on our property, we are not in favor of it. Further, if any structures are near us, I would like to review the site plan. Okay? Okay, we recently found out about the request for approval of some as-built additions to 565 El Bosque Road near my residence. My wife and I would like to object to the addition of a pickleball court, as the noise it creates will be a nuisance to our neighborhood. Please place our objections into the record for MBAR review. Is there anybody else, David, or is that it? Okay. I am writing in regard to the proposed development on El Bosque Road for the Haber, I'm not sure which it is, addition and accessory structures. My husband and I live behind the property at 555 Periwinkle and have been witness to much of the unpermitted work that has happened over the years, including the filling of a bioswale that existed behind our neighbor's property. My biggest concern about the proposed development is that it will further add to the flooding that occurred on our property, and that the Moran Mason, our 90-year-old neighbor, every time there is a significant rainstorm. With this amount of hardscape, pickleball court, and additional buildings, there will surely be more displaced water and less porous surface area to absorb it. I know the past there was a recommended percentage of a property that should be left open for water absorption, and I would hope that this will be considered and reviewed before permission is granted to allow such a large part of the property to be covered with structures and hardscaping. Anybody else? Okay. My wife and I would like to challenge a portion of the above reference projects, specifically the addition of a pickleball court. Pickleball creates a nuisance to the neighbors due to the sound of the paddle and ball and is incompatible with the quiet residential community. Please place our comment into the record for the meeting review by the MBAR members. Anybody else?
No additional letters. We do have one speaker online. If you would like to speak on this item, it's *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. So if you're wanting to speak on this item, hit *9 on your phone to raise your hand. No hand.
Okay, so anybody else like to close public comment? So we are back, this is our first review. This was a violation. And so we're now trying to figure out where to go from next. Okay, so Stacy, comments.
Architecturally, I don't have any objection to the architecture necessarily and the alterations. I am concerned about the second story over the garage and perhaps we should story pole it. Unless we have more photos that show us it's definitely not visible.
Is that building built yet?
No,
Okay,
it's,
It's proposed.
yeah, okay.
no,
Yeah.
it's just, it's the same.
Okay, so
I
you're
didn't-
recommending story poles?
Or if we have enough photographs, since we don't really have current photos of the whole property, at least we could review those at the very least, or do a site visit if that's not possible. Then two, I think adding the second driveway, I mean, I'm fine with the addition of the second driveway, but I think you need to omit the first to have the second, because you have plenty of space to turn around in this, because there's so much open space. And speaking to that, with the mitigation oaks, having discovered that the owner cut down a number of oaks and now it has to be mitigated, I think the mitigation oaks probably need to be placed relative to the existing oaks where they were on the site that he cut down as well. Because otherwise it's kind of like a land grab, like I'll just come in and cut down all the oak trees and then look, I have all this open space so I can build later. So I think a condition needs to be that the oak trees need to be mitigated back in the locations where they were removed, or at least relative, in order to approve it. And I do not support the pickleball under these circumstances with this many neighbors. I know the area too, it is a very quiet neighborhood. I've been working on Periwinkle on the other side, and I know that a pickleball would just go ringing through here. So those are my comments.
Bill, comments, please?
Yeah, I agree with what Stacy's saying on the driveway for sure. The building, I don't have any problem with. The structure, the additions to the house looks fine. I think that's all well done. Not a problem with that. The garage, I think I'm okay, although, yeah, you do have a lot of land, so I'm not sure why you necessarily need to go on top of it with a second story, although you've tried to be sensitive and fit it in the roof line, so that's good. Maybe a site visit is warranted for this. The pickleball court, I would definitely not approve it in the setback. I might consider somewhere more central of that area. I was kind of on the fence, and Rob put it well, I think, his comment about it just looks like it's got a lot of gravel And these sheds kind of stacked, like there's some reason for that, and the pickleball where it is. But it's a little hard to tell what's going on and what really is the plan. And it seems like maybe there's a better way to organize the sheds and the pickleball court and the driveways. And it just seems like there's a lot of gravel. And I agree with Stacy too. I think if you have, I like the driveway coming in off the side, the new one, but I don't think you need the extra. It'd be nice to actually give yourself a little more planting in front of the house, and you could create kind of a sense of entry there a little better than just driving right up to the door. So, and photos of the site if we don't do a site visit. Site visit would be great though, if we could see what's going on out there. And I would also recommend you talking to a civil engineer. It sounds like there's been some work done out there that's impacting the neighbors, and you need to address that. Existing historic flows of water drainage onto and off of the site need to be addressed. So I'd encourage that. Thanks.
Dave, questions, comments, please.
I'm going to agree with the comments that have been made. I don't have issues with the architecture per se. We do need to make sure that that second story isn't going to impact the neighbors. My main concern is the drainage and the pickleball issues. Drainage in particular, do you know if that gravel is permeable or if there's actually chip seal under it?
I'm not positive.
Yeah.
I don't think it's got road base underneath it.
Okay.
The whole idea is to keep the permeability on site of
But that doesn't work if there's chip seal. So are you going to engage a civil engineer?
of course.
Okay, that would be really important. And if there has been changes made to the drainage system to the north, as was commented by the neighbors, that would definitely need to be addressed. So that's a very strong concern, is that this project came in new. I don't think the board would approve a site of gravel like this, and so I think you're hearing comments about the landscaping on that too. So that needs to be addressed. I definitely can't support the pickleball court or the bocce court within the setbacks. You've got a large site area. If you want to do those things, I would strongly suggest that you locate them more centrally, maybe consider walls and other things that can help with the noise so that you're being respectful of the neighbors. So again, the architecture is okay. I'm okay with the driveways, the way they're located and proposed. But again, it's the noise issue and the storm drainage issue. It needs to be addressed.
Rob, question, comments?
Yeah, first of all, is the garage proposed? Okay, and then what is the existing driveway? What is the new, which one of those is the new one? Which is the existing?
The existing driveway is in the lower
One?
south corner, and it's
Okay,
off of the
okay.
private drive.
Yeah.
Goes to a few more houses.
I wonder whether the gravel itself is almost like concrete, where it's kind of where it's spreading noise. Like it has the ability, like where I'm sure the gravel's permeable. So, but you're shaking your head no. I'm more wondering whether the gravel is actually, because it's so open, is part of what's creating the bounce back effect of noise. But anyways, that's just part of it. My take on it is that I think you guys are creative, Chris is creative, that it should be looked at and redesigned where the structures are kind of organized. First of all, I agree with the comments and the notion of the architecture. The architecture looks nice. All that's fine. I just think the arrangement of all the pieces is kind of needs to be restudied and re-looked at, and so that the sea of gravel that everything is seated in, it kind of goes away. Gravel is typically used, to kind of create circulation routes, and maybe it's incorporated into retention basins or something like that, or as some landscape element. But to have the whole site be gravel, I think the site should be predominantly, and it doesn't have to be formal landscaping. It just could be grassy areas, native grasses, so forth. So I think that
it should be redesigned where maybe you can use mounding to create some soundproofing. You know, if you don't build wall structures or something, maybe you do mounding. Maybe cluster some of those pieces like the little sheds, you know, they're kind of in a row and the bocce's in a row. And so I think I think there could be some more creative approach to this and kind of reworking the pieces and not having a sea of gravel, but having gravel used much more sparingly and maybe shaping the land a little bit where you have some mounding and things like that to modulate the sound. And so, you know, for me, I think the board's kind of touched on a lot of the things that trouble me too. So I think it needs kind of another look at in a creative way and freed up so that gravel is not the main theme. So
Robert,
Yeah, the sea of gravel is probably not necessary all the way up there. Granted, if it's not on a class 2 base or something like a fire department would want, it can be permeable. But again, yeah, the uses in the setback of the bocce and the pickleball, I cannot support. I'm also not quite on board with the garage. You got a 12 and 12 roof there, whereas the house is, I think, looks like about a 4 and 12. I'm on the fence on that. I have to think about it. No more.
okay, well, I can only support one driveway. Your choice, which one you want, but I can only support one. There's a guideline. One of the guidelines is minimize the number of curb cuts, so, or number of driveways, number one. Number two, the pickleball, there's not a chance on earth I'll vote for that. And I don't care where it's located. Now, maybe if you put up 10-foot high walls, you know, something to stop the noise. But just out there, I think that everyone that has commented about the noise is correct. I think it would be very disturbing. I found your answer to be myopic, horse blinders. That building, the main house has been there for 50, 75 years. I have no reason to believe that that pickleball court, if approved, would not be there for 50 or 75 years. And it seems impossible for you to predict that there won't be a bunch of young children that are out there 6 hours a day, every day, playing pickleball at some point. Is that acceptable from a noise point of view? From my point of view? No, it's not. The drainage, I think, is an extremely serious issue. I think that, and then Veronica, the reason I asked you to come, I think they should actually produce 3 separate site plans. One would show the conditions prior, just after the last permit was completed. And that would show the natural water course and any of the retention basin areas and any of the trees that are there that were taken down, that I think that that would then be the existing condition. Then I think the second site plan should be as built. When you guys walked on the job, I know you didn't create that other problem, but as built, what's out there now? And highlighting the difference, all of the quote unquote illegal or unpermitted work that was done. And then the third site plan would be the proposed site plan. And so that we can see it fairly easily develop across and we can really understand it better. But I think the drainage is an extremely serious issue and needs to be dealt with. Now, neighbors, you will not receive another notification from the County of Santa Barbara on this unless you give your email addresses to David and he will put you on the master list And you will receive emails every 2 weeks if you want them or not. And you will have to monitor them to find out whether or not this project is on. And then you can take action as you wish, okay? But, okay, so that now, somebody, Stacy, started the idea of a site visit. We normally, when there's never been a two-story building, even though this is fairly small and in the middle of the site, do we want to do a site visit? I think it's going to explain a lot, but do we want to see it?
I think it would elucidate a lot in this
One,
particular instance.
2,
Yep.
3, 4. Yeah, I'm good with, so let's do a site visit, and then you can explain everything you want. Neighbors are invited to site visits. Now, you're going to see some kind of a yellow string, and it will be in the agenda, okay? So just along the ridge for this, for the garage, the highest ridge,
Story poles.
story pole,
Yeah.
just one line. We're not asking you to do the whole thing, right? Try to keep the price down as much as possible. And then I want to say something about the garage. Everybody seemed, I think that the main residence seems like it fits together. There's something about that garage, the proportion of those windows, or maybe how high the eave is, and how, you know, the closeness of the garage doors to the roof. I think it needs to be tweaked. Okay? I think you guys.
More
need-
specific.
What?
Can you be more specific?
Well, my recommendation would be to go on out in the various books that I assume you have in your library and
Yeah,
look
we did a lot of research on that. And that's where this is the result of that. So that's why I love input.
at the mic.
Maybe a massing model would help, like a 3D model.
It's not the massing. This distance is awfully weeny. There's no distance right here, which I would see in a traditional building, a header over the top. These are significantly larger than I would expect in a building of this era, if you're part of it. These are probably going to be fine. Same thing with this. See how there's some area there and there isn't. This is probably a 5 by 5, right? Window.
I don't know.
You know,
don't have it, John.
traditionally, it would probably be more like a 3 by 4. Now, that might be too small, but there's something about it that just doesn't have the feel like it's been there for 500 years. or
Like the
even a-
proportion and maybe the size.
Yeah, the proportions
Okay.
of the,
I think your door on the gable end there on the garage upper floor is going to need to be a single door. You don't have any header room there either, I think.
Yeah, it's too pinched.
It's pinched up at the top there. See the door that goes second floor?
Can you repeat that, Bill? For some reason, I'm having a hard time hearing you guys.
Oh, the north elevation, second story door probably needs to be a single door, not a double door. I don't think you'll be able to fit that.
You wanted a double door, but I agree with you.
Yeah. 42.
Okay.
but your roof pitches might be wrong too. I mean, go and tweak it.
Yeah.
From my point of view, how tall are you totally? What's the total height, please?
I thought it was 19 something, 19.8 or 19.9.
Accessory building, okay. Okay, well,
Not to say this, but if it was an ADU, we wouldn't be looking at it.
yeah, but it's not. Okay. So we will see you on site, okay?
And then you're going to notify who about the site visit?
You will definitely get anybody that receives the general distribution of the agenda will get it. And of course, you will get it. You need to arrange the site visit with your planner when you're ready to go out there. Okay, but you know, you need to figure out a date.
I think that the property owner is going to want to be there, especially if everybody's going to be there. So, and he's out of town a lot, which is why I asked. So,
Whenever you want to come back, we're here every other Thursday.
so we would tell our planner when would be a convenient time and they would work with you.
Yes, Yeah, we're not trying to trespass or make things inconvenient for you. Yes, work it out, please.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Item number 3. 812 Park Hill Lane, they are on for both preliminary, which I thought you got, but maybe I'm wrong, and final. There's a memo. Okay. Keep going. The project has met all the zoning requirements and has been cleared by the Montecito Fire Protection District and the PW, I'm not sure what that is, Trails, Public Works Trails Department. Okay. Ken. Ball's in your court.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Ken Radke with Blackbird Architects and Penny Kapasus.
Penny, welcome.
And Penny and her husband, John Byrne, lost the house on this property in the Thomas fire. And they've been on a journey that is taking a while to get here. We were here late summer, early fall for that concept review that you were mentioning, John. And we had a pretty well-defined project at that time. Comments were positive, and we're back with the exact same project now, but with detail, and we're getting verging on ready for the, essentially, we are ready for the permit. If you look at this page, if you have really good eyes, you could see that we're at a 69% FAR. The original, the proposed square footage of this new house is around 2,900, and the previous house that was lost was taller, wider, closer to the front of the slope, and more square footage. So the entire project is quieter and more low slung than the previous project. From here, we'll kind of do a skim of these 40 sheets. I would say we could go to PDF page 8, which is a 0.7. These are the photos that showed the existing site walls, retaining walls, and footings, which are all to be reused. They've been very thoroughly tested, so as reported, pull tested, and structurally engineered that they're reusable, which is really important for project owners. And so the entire project is set up to land again on all of these structural lines. We can revisit these photos if you want more. If we just go in order, it's jumping a little bit ahead, but if you went to L 1.1, PDF page 17, that green square in the middle is the internal courtyard. It's kind of a courtyard house. That's the extent of landscape. The driveway is the place that where work would be done from, as well as on the existing sort of footings and patios that still remain. And therefore, all the other existing landscape, the little backyard, the back existing swimming pool is all to remain. You can see the north where there's currently an upper patio or outside yard that'll remain and have sand cast concrete patio up there. If we go to page PDF page 23, A 2.2. If you zoom in, it might look a little better. It looks a little weird here. Here you just see that it's a courtyard house. The garage and existing guest house, if you will, up and to the right wasn't lost, and the previous main house is to be replaced here. So you can see this kind of I-shaped, H-shaped house. All of those patios are essentially still existing and to be repaved with a new surface material. You can go to the next page. You can see the upstairs. Upstairs on the bottom of the house, there is the primary bedroom, which is further uphill, further away from the edge of the hill than the previous structures. From all points of view, as the house goes up, the site steps back as well as the house stepping back, and all the building forms and shapes step back. If you go to page 26, A 3.1. Here we had a couple of views that are essentially the same as we saw last time. It's geometrically very orthogonal with low-slung flat roofs. The palette is wood siding with an appropriately resilient assembly behind, and anything on the edge is either metal or heavy timber, and a wood windows. I think those are self-explanatory. There was one question last time about the railings that are shown there now in the lower view. Those are proposed for now to just remain the same. So Penny and John want to just build the house and recover and get back into a properly sized house. And go to the next page is elevations. You can see, Robert, I think you were commenting, it looks pretty straight when you just have it projected in elevations on last time, but the beauty of it is just the overhangs and the porch on the south and the orientation to the views. The next page, you can see on the bottom, you can see how that house is stepping back from the existing top of the hill, and it's bermed into the existing hill with that little patio at the back. And you're in that bottom elevation, you're looking into the little interior courtyard of the house. From here, I would mention that the only proposed landscape lighting is in that little interior courtyard, which are, that's on, way back on the site plan, that lighting is specified there. It's the small, just path lights. And then as required by code, there are some sconces at exterior doors, which are typical, very, very discrete, cylindrical, downlight only sconces. We're available for questions. Thank you.
Okay. Managing everything, Rob has to leave. We're going to go a little bit out of order. He's going to make some comments, and then we'll go and do questions and do that. So Rob, do you have comments, please?
Yeah, the question on the pool was, the pool's really informal. Did you consider, and I understand cost is always an issue, about with the style of architecture, doing a simple rectangular pool? Was that ever a consideration? Kind of in keeping with the architecture? Is one way.
The previous house as well as the proposed house are orthogonal. That pool predates the current owners, and it's a little bit of a relic in time. So replacing the pool is just beyond sort of budgetary control.
Okay, and so along those lines, what the other way to go is that, like, there's some really nice rock outcrops, it looks like to me. And maybe the other way to go is to kind of get some rock kind of outcropping kind of added in closer on the pool, where you kind of make it kind of tie in a little bit better. So that was my comment on that. And the only other comment I had was, I thought the understory on the landscape needed a little bit more information, but overall, I like your project, and both, landscape, hardscape, everything is in a really nice direction. So, and with that, I've got to leave. Thank you very much.
Okay, so questions, Bill, please.
Is so pretty much all the paving around the pool, the driveway, even around the house is pretty much existing, right?
It is all existing, so we're proposing to sort of retool some of the veneer or paving material right on the patios outside the house. The driveway itself is all to stay the same. Surrounding the pool is sort of grass, if you will.
Oh, it is, okay.
And Rob's question is a good one. There is a big rock basically that is attached to half of that pool. It's just not really documented since no changes were proposed out there.
Okay, so that area around the deck is really grass. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks.
Okay, question, Stacy, please.
Can we see the landscape plan?
Couple weeks.
L 1.1 PDF page 17.
I was looking at this kind of carefully. There's not a whole lot of description. Is it, so now you're saying around the pool, it is already existing landscape and it's just all lawn? Just because I reviewed the photos and everything around there was, because they're old site photos, everything was kind of dead at the time. A little, so hard to determine. But then I'm not seeing like that you're planting anything outside of just that interior courtyard for the most part. Am I understanding this correctly? And maybe it doesn't look like really anything's happening behind the house. Or are you planting back there? Because it just didn't add up with the.
We literally are proposing no new landscape other than the little shade garden at this ornamental shade garden at the interior courtyard there. There's a lot of existing trees overhanging everywhere, oak trees surrounding the entire property. And so our approach and strategy is to not touch any existing landscape. There is some stuff that has suffered through the drought and so forth that needs TLC. But
And will you be adding irrigation though to, like, for instance, to the lawn around the pool? I assume that in order to have lawn, you're going to need irrigation again.
we are proposing no changes there. It's existing.
No irrigation, no, but you said there's a lawn. How is it getting watered? Up there?
And it's currently hand watered
Okay,
at times of the year.
okay. And has fire looked at your proposal for 3 trees on an interior courtyard?
They're small shade garden type trees that fire has signed off on the plan.
They have?
It's included in the.
I looked up the species. I mean, it's Fraxinus, and they're 30 feet tall, 18 feet wide. Maybe there's a subspecies that you didn't annotate on the plan.
Yeah, it's possible there's some typo there, but we're proposing like small ornamental planting. Susan Vanetta is involved.
Of course,
And
yeah. Okay. Those are my questions.
Robert, questions?
The renderings are beautiful. I really appreciate the large overhangs. But on the elevations, they don't look as large as they do on the renderings. I mean, what is the overhang on those flat roofs?
The overhang to the south is 8 to 10 feet, I think. And Stefan, I think, is online probably somewhere.
8 to 10 feet.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about the second floor?
It's a little deceptive because the facade jumps in and out, but the southerly ones are longer, much longer, and then you can see that there are breezeways, like on the right-hand side on the ground floor, left-hand side on the ground floor. Those are 6 and 7 feet deep, and then the facade does move in and out a little bit, so that's where it gets actually deeper in the middle of the house by the big tall windows and doors.
And as tight as the roofs are to the, say, first floor, even second floor, where's the insulation? How do you pull that off?
The insulation,
Yeah, for Title 24.
it's been Title 24 roughly. It's a 12-inch framing member minimum everywhere, and so we're foaming everywhere.
12 inches
Yeah.
beneath the flat roof, or?
Yes.
Yeah, can I see
Yeah,
that?
The sections are in the A4 area. So if you go to A4.1 is the first section, yeah.
Can you zoom in on either one of them?
Oh, I see. See, yeah. So you got the joists up there. I see.
If you want to get down and get dirty, ask about the HVAC.
Uh,
You have the little tiny.
Could be the little mini splits. I don't know.
High velocity is what I would expect.
Okay, no more questions.
And Dave, questions, please.
No questions.
And I have no questions. Public comment. Oh, colors. I don't remember looking at them. I looked at a lot of stuff. Do you have a color? Thank you. That's all I need. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 3, 812 Park Hill Lane, please?
Again, if our telephone speaker would like to speak on this item, it's star 9 on your phone to raise your hand. No hands up.
Okay, we are on for both preliminary and final today. Comments, Bill?
Yeah, I like what you've done. Looks great. I did have one question. There's a detail 11, and I can't remember what sheet it's on, but it's a very wide wall furring like a skin. There it is, right there. Back up one. Where does that occur? You see that? Is it like a
Right.
false pop out just to thicken the wall? You don't have a footing under it? And it was more of a curious kind of like, where is that going?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Stefan Farmazon with Blackboard Architects. So that detail, and we are still working that with structural, but it occurs in the lower level. If you go on the floor plan, that's on the east wall of the living room. It's just a partial double wall, kind of just to give some depth and some massing on the elevation.
Just an aesthetic piece is all.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. And it's radiant flooring, John, by the way.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, I could give it approval as it stands, as submitted.
Stacy, comments, please.
I mean, I still think it's a great project. I like the architecture. I think it's all conforming really well with the hillside. My only question is, I think the landscape is really incomplete because if there is a lawn, it needs to be notated, and I think there needs to be an accompanying irrigation plan for the property, because right now to just say we're only doing the courtyard and this is existing and we're hand watering a lawn, it just doesn't, that just doesn't add up. And I think even if it's existing, it needs to be notated what is existing and with like photos demonstrating what's there in order for it to be considered complete, so we can just check it off. That's my only comment, but everything else is just fine. I just think we need to see a more true landscape plan, planting plan, even if it's what is existing, called out, trees labeled, and then some sort of corresponding irrigation plan, because I just don't think up on the hill that all of this is going to survive without some form of irrigation on a regular basis.
So Stacy, let me ask you a question. Would a site visit with you and Ken
Or just
address some of the-
photos. I mean, if I just have photos to go, okay, yeah, there is existing landscape and it seems to be surviving.
What do you got?
That would be fine.
We do have photos, and to some extent, I take exception with the approach to this because it's existing.
Okay,
It's all existing, and we don't need to get a permit to leave something existing.
that's fine, but it should just be, I mean, just something to demonstrate that it exists, because the photos we were given previously show it all dead. For example, the lawn around the pool and everything. So if there's just more current photos of existing landscape that could just demonstrate that it is there, that you're not doing a bunch of landscaping after the fact, then that's fine, I think.
Perhaps we could just come back to consent for that after final.
Yeah, I don't even think you have to come to consent. They could just route it to me from the planner and we can just do it that
Will
way.
do.
Condition the approval.
Okay, Robert, comments, please.
That's fine too. Yeah.
Robert, comments,
That's
please.
difficult.
I love these two views here. It's really a beautiful home, and I think we should just approve it as is.
Dave, comments, please.
Yeah, I think it's a very nice design, especially given the fact that you're working with an existing foundation. So kudos to you to be able to create architecture like this from existing conditions that are difficult, and I can fully support the project.
I think it's a clever plan, reusing, all that, and talk about lemons and lemonade. So what are we going to do about Stacy's comment that she feels that this applicant should be treated like every other applicant? That's basically what she's saying.
Yes, just,
So is a phone call, is a site visit or photographs? What can we
photos.
do to,
we don't have to do a site visit. I think it's just a few photographs of.
can you get some more photos?
Just updated photos, because the photos we were
Absolutely.
given were like just post-fire, it looked like.
Well, it's so green outside right now. Would
I know, it's a good time to go
time
take photos.
to take some photos.
Get the photos now and we'll just check.
Could we condition the approval?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do that.
That and approve it.
Okay, so I'll just do it. So I'd like to move for preliminary and final approval with the applicant to provide photographic documentation of the existing landscaping or to the planner to be reviewed with Stacy Isaacs.
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Congratulations, good job, good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one last item. We are on for final approval today. 1278 East Valley Road. I do want to note that our last minutes, it was moved by Isaacs and seconded by Isaacs. So, yeah, she really felt strongly about it. Isaac, okay. So we are on for final today. Okay, yeah, let me read the minutes. Thank you for. Majority of MBAR believes that FAR overage can be supported given the modest proposal, lot constraints, and necessity to maintain the existing historic structure. MBAR generally likes the design, develop a structural engineering solution to design a foundation that will not impact the existing oak trees adjacent to the southern property line and eliminate the replacement oak trees along the north back property line. Depict accurate canopy of trees, oaks on plan set. Explore, excuse me, possibility of relocating the existing historic structure off-site. One member cannot support the FAR overage as the project is not compatible with the Montecito Community Plan and could establish a precedent. Okay, so who is here to represent the project, please?
Me, Marcos, Rafael Anaya. Good afternoon.
Marcos, welcome.
Katie Klein, landscape architect.
Okay, thank you, Katie. Welcome. So we're on for final. We don't need to go through the whole preliminary review anymore. So can we quickly or
Yes, I can go ahead and start off with the actual comments. So I can go to comment number 3 to address the design of the footings and the foundation to minimize impact on the existing oak trees. So if you could go to the to the S1 and S2 sheets, which it would be page 47 and 49 on the PDF files. So we had our structural engineer review the impact on the trees, and you can see that on the front end of the residence, we've actually done what's called heliopiles with an actual beam above. So the whole foundation actually has been raised an extra 30 inches. Actually, I'm sorry, 18 inches to allow for this to happen. So if you go to the next sheet, which is S2, it kind of shows you, that one. And you can zoom in on detail 1 and 2. Actually, 1 will give you a better depiction of what we're trying to do. So we're placing these heliopiles at every so often to allow for no impact to be placed onto the existing soil. So with the heliopiles and the concrete perimeter beam, it's all being done. The beam itself is off-site, but the piles are the ones that are placed at a certain distance, and they just get drilled in. So if you go back to the previous sheet, which is sheet S1, there, if you zoom in where at the front end, if you could zoom in a little closer, you can kind of see where the heliopiles are being located. The dark portion shows the area of the heliopiles. So that's what helps for the frontage. The other thing we've done is that the entrance, the steps have also been addressed to where they're floating steps. So if you go to details on 8.8.1, which is page 24 on the architectural. So if you go to detail number 1, zoom in a little bit on that, you can see that the stairs are floating to minimize the impact on the oak tree in the front. So throughout the whole house on the front, we are not touching the actual existing, so we're not saying we're not touching, we're not impacting the existing finished grade. You can also see detail number, I believe it's number 6, which is on the side, which is for the other oak tree. It's on the upper left hand. There, that one, which is the entrance to the laundry room. So we've done the same on this area. So with this and also doing the site, doing minimal impact, you can reference the landscape plans and also the civil plans, and you'll see better that everything towards the front of the house has been minimized to both of the trees. At this point, Katie can come in and address the mitigation of the trees. Katie?
Sure. Yeah. Could you go to the planting plan or just the landscape plans? We've updated the arborist report. We worked with Bill Spiewak to, worked with Civil to make sure we didn't have any grading in these root zones as much as possible. Marcos, as mentioned, we worked with structural, so we're really having minimal impact. If you want to go to the planting, keep going. And you can kind of see a little bit better. So we're really not impacting the trees as much in the front. So we were able to get it down to 1 mitigation oak, which you can see in the plan top right. And we have scaled the oak now to 30 feet, and it's a new 48-inch box that we're locating. And I believe that was the only comment for landscape.
The final comment that you guys had tried to address was the existing residents in regards to trying to relocate it. After careful research, we saw that for the client, it was going to be a very expensive adventure. One, by trying to figure out where we would place it, we couldn't find a place that would accept it. Secondly, by trying to take it down piece by piece, it was going to be very expensive for the reason that it was not done as one piece. There were several additions, some that were non-conforming that we're addressing and that will need to be taken off. So by the time that we would try to displace this particular historical building, it would not be economically possible.
Is that in your presentation then,
Yes.
please? Questions? Dave, please.
No questions.
Robert, please.
No questions.
Bill, please.
I had a question. One of the details on the structural sheet shows a retaining wall detail. Is that where the sunken fire pit is?
Can you tell me where?
Well, go to like 48 or one of those pages. Keep scrolling.
That would be on the other, yes, there probably.
There we go. That one right there. Detail 1 retaining wall section. Where does that occur?
That's actually on the property and the pool. That's the pool that you're looking at. So that wall, the second wall is the pool wall.
Oh,
the first wall is right on the property line, meaning the one that has the fence.
but
you can go back to our site plan and you can, that way you can reference it. I put it on my site plan.
That's a pool wall, then you're gonna gunite the inside of it or something, is that?
Correct.
All
Yes.
right. Okay, that's all, thanks.
Okay.
Stacy, questions, please?
No questions.
Pool equipment, it's right on the property line, right, or a couple feet off. Can you tell me if it has a surround or anything of that nature? Site plan would show it. I didn't see anything.
You could go to the landscape plan. Katie can address the comment.
Katie, does it have
Yeah, we do have a wall around
made of what?
of a stucco wall, just a
So
plaster wall.
It's solid, it's not.
There it is.
Yeah, you
Right,
can
right,
zoom in.
right, right.
It's at the bottom.
But it's right there. Okay, so not concrete block, so wood frame?
No, I think we will do block with plaster.
Okay, excellent. So public comment, is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 4, 1278 East Valley Road, please?
And again, it's *9. If you're calling us, joining us by phone, to raise your hand, *9. No hands raised.
Okay, so this has received preliminary, so we're on for final. My only comment is to make sure that that's a concrete block wall around the pool equipment, because it's right there on the property line. So has anybody else got anything?
Well, it's elevated too. Nope.
Okay,
I
so
did want to acknowledge that you have worked with the board, and it's been a bit of a long haul, but I think you have a better project for it, both for you and for the community, the neighbors, and I appreciate you
I think that,
responding to our comments.
Yeah, I do too. And doing the extra length to save the oak trees
yeah, that's,
and to reduce the mitigation down to just one, I think, and where you placed it is absolutely adequate and for the longevity of the pool too.
okay, so I'd like,
Thank you. I just want to point out on one of our sheets, we have a detail of the freestanding stucco wall, if you did want to see it.
for the pool equipment,
Yes.
but it's not cross-referenced, so it's fine.
Okay.
You guys can easily take care of it, I'm sure. So I'd like to move for final approval with the condition that the wall surround the north and, let's see, which way is north here? North is left, right?
Yeah.
On the north and east wall be concrete block. with a cement plaster finish. And that's it. No other conditions. Is there a second, please?
I second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so we have 4 items. Thank you all. So we
Thank
have
you.
4 items, 8 items next time. And do I have a motion for adjournment, please?
Move to adjourn today's May 1st, MBAR meeting.
For a second?
I'll second that.
All those